The Sugar Bowl features the No. 4 Alabama Crimson Tide against the ACC champion and top-ranked Clemson Tigers in a rematch of last year's national championship game. More. SN's college football playoff picks. There is no shortage of analysis that can be found on the upcoming games. But what's always interesting are the video game simulations, which have proven to be adept at predicting results and identifying mismatches. Sadly, the last college football video game was released in 2013. Despite that, NCAA Football 14 still holds up well, especially with the ability to continue creating and sharing rosters. To get an idea of what could happen on New Year's Day, we turn to NCAA 14 to simulate the games while utilizing up-to-date ratings, rosters, and depth charts. Unlike the Rose Bowl simulation, which featured a number of exciting impact plays, the Sugar Bowl will offer nothing of the sort if NCAA 14 is to be believed. Whether this is due to brilliant defense or awful offense is up to interpretation. The game opened with 4 consecutive 3-and-outs. Alabama managed to break through following a good punt return and move the chains, setting up a long field goal which was successful for a 3-0 lead. Injuries played a role for Alabama, with the backfield getting dinged up. Damian Harris was lost for over a quarter after getting hurt on his very first carry. Later in the first quarter, Bo Scarborough was knocked out of the game. That left Josh Jacobs to take over for a stretch where he performed admirably in their place and later in the game to give Harris a break, but he also made a costly mistake. Clemson put together their first drive as the first quarter was ending, with a 21-yard screen pass and multiple third-down conversions to move their way into Alabama territory. The Tigers moved the ball down to the 1-yard line following yet another third-down conversion, and from there quarterback Kelly Bryant kept it on the read option to score and take the 7-3 lead. The Crimson Tide answered back with a solid drive of their own, with the yardage coming almost entirely on the ground as Damian Harris carried the load. A 21-yard run from QB Jalen Hurts helped set up a goal-to-go situation of their own, but they were unable to punch it in and had to settle for a field goal. After crossing midfield, Bryant was picked off by Alabama linebacker Dylan Moses. Alabama drove into Clemson territory again on the ensuing possession, this time with under 2 minutes in the half. But on a scramble, Hurts fumbled the ball and the Tigers recovered. The halftime score was Clemson 7, Alabama 6, and neither team had any semblance of a passing attack. Alabama had 57 yards passing and Clemson 38. The two teams moved the ball almost solely on the ground, with both teams right around 100 yards rushing. It was more of the same in the second half. This is where the field position battle really came into play. For nearly the entire third quarter, Alabama was operating near midfield or in Clemson territory. When Clemson got the ball, they were backed up in the shadow of their own end zone. Despite that, Alabama was unable to capitalize in the third quarter. They either shot themselves in the foot with a bad turnover, a huge one went off the hands of Josh Jacobs, who likely would have scored a TD on the play, or sacks that moved them out of field goal range. Finally, in the fourth quarter, Alabama was able to overcome their mistakes in the opportune play of the Clemson defense and make it into the red zone. However, once again, the Crimson Tide had to settle for the field goal and a 9-7 lead. A 3-and-out from Clemson was matched by Alabama, leaving the former under 4 minutes to go on what may have been their last best chance. When Clemson finally put together another drive, only their second sustained one of the entire game, they found themselves in the red zone. Alabama's defense held them to a field goal, but only 59 seconds remained. A couple quick plays moved Alabama near midfield, but then Hurts went for the big play and was picked off by cornerback Trayvon Mullen. All Clemson had to do was kneel it down once and the game was over. The Clemson Tigers get a shot at repeating as national champions. Final score: Clemson 10, Alabama 9. Alabama top performers: Jalen Hurts, December 23, 109. 2 int. Fumble. Damian Harris 20 carries, 91 yards. Calvin Ridley 3 rec, 30 yards. Mack Wilson 11 tackles. Deshaun Hand int. Clemson top performers: Kelly Bryant 14-21, 79 yards. Int. Tavian Feaster 18 carries, 92 yards. 6 rec, 28 yards. Trey Lamar 14 tackles. Clelin Ferrell 2 sacks. Trayvon Mullen int. Christian Wilkins FF. Keys to the game: in defensive battles, turnovers often determine the outcome, and that was the case in the Sugar Bowl. Alabama gave away points with each of Hurts' first 2 turnovers, and the game ended on his third. Neither team attacked through the air downfield, combined 188 passing yards, and both rested on their defenses in running games, combined 314 rushing yards. Alabama also didn't convert on their best scoring opportunities, settling for field goals both times they reached the red zone. Brian Weedy posts sports gaming news and analysis daily at pastapadre.com. Is co-founder of the sports gaming site HitThePass.com. Hosts the Press Row podcast and can be reached on Twitter at pastapadre.